Good morning and welcome to CNC in the AEC. I'm Crystal Pierce with FFKR Architects.
And I'm Cassie Wells with Modern Business Development. And today we have a very special guest, my newest client,
Yay!
Matt Dircks, President and CEO of Dircks Moving and Logistics.
Hi there.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Matt.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.
So before we dive in to your role and at all things Dircks, we wanted to, I want to give just a little background. So I've been working with them for 30 days now.
30 days.
30 whole days.
Wow.
Yes. Big 1 month celebration. But I have known the Dircks team for over 10 years. So I actually met Brandon Stevens at an ASU, I think it was a procurement or a vendor fair.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
I forget what they called it. It was 10 years ago. And I showed up with what at the time was revolutionary technology, like a touch screen, right?
Wow.
And I was like, I'm going to have the coolest booth. Everyone is going to want to come to this booth.
Yes.
And they put me next to the Dircks booth, which was like semi trucks and balloons. Like it was this elaborate. And I'm just kind of like, ooh, I guess this is where the party's at. And it was kind of funny. Like we ended up just working closely together that day, and then stayed in touch with Brandon for over 10 years. When he would come to the Valley, we would meet up. And so, yeah, it was just kind of interesting when I made my announcement for my business. He was the first person to reach out to me.
That's so awesome.
So we have a
I love
theme
that.
at that vendor fair that we do every year. We actually truck in a mini semi truck, which is probably what you're
Oh, I
talking about.
remember it.
We've had times where everybody dressed up as football players, as ASU football players.
See, I missed that one. I
So
missed that
we'll have to
one.
send those pictures
Yeah.
over
That's so
too.
fun.
But yeah, it's always a good time.
See, well, now, I mean, I can dress up
All
in
right,
football
let's do it.
pads. Listen, like you got to use
Yeah.
me. So talk to us a little bit about your new role.
Yeah. President CEO for, we have a 1 month anniversary. I have a 6 month anniversary, I guess you could say. So I acquired the business and took over in that role January 1 of this year. So my Dircks Moving and Logistics, we've been in business for 33 years now, 33 years in May. My father and uncle started the business. So they had worked in the moving business. Actually, they are third generation, but their father was in the moving business. Always had them around the trucks. Grew up in Minneapolis, but had some family in Phoenix, so they came out to school at ASU. That's kind of where we got our Phoenix roots, I guess you could say. But 1990, my father and uncle came together to purchase the business and purchased a small moving company, just strictly moving families. Had about 25 employees, 8 or 10 trucks, pretty small company. And we were an agent for a van line. So as I said, move families, and very mom and pop. They tell a great story about their first week. They went and picked up a new truck, and I think it was maybe up in Flagstaff, and got in the truck in July and driving down the hill, and the AC went out.
No.
So their first week owning a company, one of their brand new trucks, and the AC broke down. But it was, we started from the ground up, really.
Yeah.
Really excited to take over. When it's a established company and business for over 30 years, we have good roots, and people ask me all the time, what's going to change? What's going to change with your role? And I really say that not a lot needs to change. We just need to take it to the next level. And my pitch to my team a lot of times is we are a established company with a startup mentality. So we're coming in, we're looking at new lines of business and different things that we do. Over the years, we've grown from moving families strictly to moving businesses, and that's a big portion of our business. And then the logistics side as well. And as I said, started over 30 years ago with about 25 employees and 8 trucks. We have just over 200 employees now. We have about 50 to 60 trucks.
And all the AC works?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That is good. And then we have about 700,000 square feet of storage space
which I have seen,
within. Yes. Yes. You have.
which is amazing. If you want a tour,
Yeah.
definitely let
Yeah.
us know because it's very, very cool.
Yeah, yeah.
It's it's
One of our largest facilities is 400,000 square feet, and to get that concept when people walk in the door, it's pretty mind blowing. That's
yeah,
for
it
sure.
looked like
That's
Costco
awesome.
on steroids.
Wow.
Yeah,
Massive steroids.
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, it was very, very cool. And it's one thing to talk logistics and it's another thing to see logistics. Very,
Yes.
very cool.
Definitely, definitely. It's been a big portion of our growth. It's really moving forward what we are looking to grow. The Phoenix market is exploding on that side, and we're really seeing a lot of companies come in, not just the California influence, but also the East Coast established companies bringing a West Coast presence and choosing Phoenix at this point instead of traditionally in LA or
Hmm.
something like that. And it's been great for us. We've seen a lot of growth on that side. Um, the Now that we are in it, it's an interesting business where relationships really matter. It's not to be honest, it's usually not somebody going out and Googling somebody.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a change for us and a different path on the sales and business development side as well.
Which makes
Yeah.
sense why you would invest in modern
Yes,
business development.
exactly,
So I
So
exactly.
love
true.
that.
Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for
yes,
the trust.
yeah,
Um, and I know you mentioned that your dad and uncle went to ASU, and I know ASU is one of your biggest clients.
yes, yes.
Um, and Rick has a very big presence
Right.
in the Valley, especially at ASU. What is Rick's role moving forward?
Yeah, so when I acquired the business January 1st, I really wanted both Rick and my father Chip to stay on board. The way it worked with two brothers, everybody, kind of wonders how does that work in a
Mm-hmm.
business with two brothers? My father, operations guy. He's a numbers guy. He is a behind the scenes guy. Doesn't need to be out and about. Is happy as in his office. Rick, on the other side, as we say, the more time he's in the office, it's kind of we don't want that. We
Yeah,
want him out.
you want to not see him.
Exactly, exactly. Definitely. My father's a consultant with me right now, helps me with some of the day to day, the numbers, big picture stuff. And then Rick is call him a, what did I call him the other day? A contract salesperson, I guess we could say.
Okay.
He's an employee. He's honestly the face of the franchise, I guess you could say. I can't tell you how many boards that he's on. It's probably over double digits at this point. His goal is to have a lunch every day of the week
Hmm.
with somebody. And he's integral in our growth, but also in our future as
Hmm.
well. As you said, he's a great networker, knows just about everybody, and a huge benefit to me to learning that side of the business as well, but also our younger folks that are kind of growing in the business as well. And it's a really great. We have this kind of transition period, and as he said, taking the ownership and management away from him allowed him to do more of the fun stuff, as he
Hmm.
likes to say. And I think that'll really benefit us as well.
That's
That
great.
is
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
So why are we here today with Matt? I'll tell you why.
Yes.
We want to dive into how to develop business depending on your role, right? So we have a director of business development for a specific company. We have a president and CEO. Both need to do business
Business
development,
development.
right? But I imagine the strategy is different. Maybe it's not, maybe it is. That's why we're here. And then I do both as well. I am the business development rep for my clients, but I also have to develop business for my business as
Yes.
well. So I'm constantly balancing both as well. So, Crystal, I'm going to ask you, we'll start with you first. When you're targeting an organization to break into, who at the company is the best person for you to reach out to? What's your first move?
So For me, my first move is usually to contact the person who's also doing business development for that company.
There's kind of an unspoken like I'll hook you up because I'm doing your
Yes,
job too. Like we both
Interesting.
have like a shared
exactly.
experience. I feel that way too.
Because I feel that initial point of contact, if you start developing that relationship, they're to me, the business development person, they're the gatekeeper. I
Mm-hmm.
see them as the gatekeeper,
Mm-hmm.
and they're the person that knows the inner workings of the company.
Yep.
So that's usually my go-to.
I totally agree with that.
That's from my side. That's so interesting to hear because I feel like every sales book I've read or sales training I've attended or any of that, it's always go for the decision maker, right? And
Yeah.
that's
Right.
you would think by the
Yes.
book
Which
that's
Yes.
what
which
is
can be good.
Which
it,
that's who you want to get in with.
exactly,
However,
but the path to get there
Yeah.
is that's
Usually, if
great.
you try to go straight to the decision maker,
Yeah.
though, it's a harder path.
well, so let's ask you this because I would call you a decision maker in your
Okay.
firm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you be more likely to respond to an email? Let's say Crystal's trying to get in with you.
Hmm.
And she was just like, "Hi, I'm Crystal. Found you on LinkedIn." Or,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, saw your Phoenix Business Journal
Yeah.
article.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you." Cold email.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I'm like, "Hey, this is my friend Crystal. She would love to meet with you." Which one are you likely to
Oh,
reply
it's
to?
not even, yeah, that's,
See?
Right.
I
So
can
it's
tell
the
you which
warm
one I
intro.
delete 5 or 6 of those a day.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you
Exactly.
have to, you're not going to respond to an email usually unless you know the person
Yeah.
Or
or you're
the
being referred
relationship, yeah, there's
to the
someone else
person.
bringing that in.
And I think that's you mentioned the LinkedIn message and what that does, and it's a I think that's been an easy way out for a lot of people too, is that yeah, let's email 7,000 CEOs and see what
Mm-hmm.
pops up. And
Mm-hmm.
we all do the same thing, delete, delete, delete,
Yep.
delete. So to actually
Yeah.
get the interaction, the connection, the introductions.
Well,
And
and there's
like
a
you
sense of
said,
Huge.
responsibility because if
Yeah.
you don't reply to that,
Right.
we're like,
Yeah.
"Hey,
Yeah.
you reply to my girl,"
Exactly.
there's
Yeah.
yeah,
it's I don't know how to explain it because and especially within an organization, if you were to make a warm intro to someone else within your organization and they didn't reply, that makes you look bad. So
exactly.
you now have the business development person within the organization holding someone within their same organization accountable,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I see.
Yeah.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Um, so same question to you. I know you said decision maker. So I guess he already answered it.
I
Yeah.
I guess I would say at the end that's where you want to get to, but as a CEO also, I don't it's different than just cold calling, seeking out business.
Mm-hmm.
When I step into something, it's usually alongside somebody.
Hmm.
I've have that warm handoff already, so it's a little different. But I also, growing up in the business, doing different levels, I didn't come straight into the business into a CEO role. I was there for 11 years and started on the trucks and did project management, did sales, did marketing, did a lot of different things. So I enjoy talking to a project manager, to somebody who's more of a frontline employee.
Sure.
Um, I probably have a little more of that that conversation and the not just the layman's terms for some of that.
Well,
Uh,
their pain.
Exactly,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've been
exactly.
there.
Yeah, yeah, have the
So you know what's
respect
important to
and
them.
talk to that. So now in talking with that, it can be, I wouldn't say disrespectful to go, CEO to CEO, but there's also no need for that most of
Mhm.
the time.
Mhm.
And I think that's what I've learned kind of over the years too, is uh the decision maker needs the influence of others,
Mhm.
I guess, and that's really important
To
too.
help them make the decision.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
totally agree with that. So, Crystal, when you meet with someone, what are your specific goals? So let's say you're trying to get into an organization, you've set up a coffee with the business development person.
Mm-hmm.
What are your goals?
My specific goals is to really learn, learn about their company.
Mhm.
Um, and what their goals for their company are, but also to learn about them personally. So you can start really building that relationship and foundation.
Sure.
Because really, I mean, the point of business development is to build that long lasting relationship.
Right.
I mean, BD, it's the long game.
Yes. I
So
totally agree.
it's just to figure out what their needs are as a company
I agree with
and
that.
to really discover how our companies can work together,
Sure.
how we
How
can
you can,
support each other and help each other. And is it a good
I was
match?
going to say, what was Justin's? It was, how you can be impactful to one
Yes.
another. We had
Yes.
another guest that was really big
Oh,
on
that's good.
how could I be impactful, which I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
and I use. Thanks, Justin. I agree with you. I think that when you take care of people, the business falls into place.
Yes.
Um,
So
so
how do we start building that foundation, really?
right. And some people will sit down with you and be like, "Hey, I looked up what you do. Like, do you want intros to here, 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 and here?" And you're like,
Right.
"Sure."
Right. I was going to ask you, before that last question,
Yeah.
when you go into your meetings, because sometimes you're going into meetings as modern BD,
Mm-hmm.
but then you're also going into meetings for your clients.
Yep.
So you'd be going into meetings for Dirks.
Sure.
How do you handle the meetings differently?
Oh man, that's a great question. Very differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the
What does
crazy
that look
thing
like?
is, they're all a Venn diagram. All of them are,
Right.
because again, people ask me, how can I help you? And I answer that with two answers. You can help me by telling me a service provider or a subcontractor that you love working with. That would help my business.
Hmm.
How you can help my business thrive in providing value to my clients is let me know about projects as soon as you can. Um, I represent and I list all of my clients, which I represent CCS presentation systems for audiovisual, corporate interior systems for commercial furniture, and Dirk's moving and logistics for, you guessed it, moving and logistics, right?
Right.
And so when I say that, something sparks. Whether it's, oh, this project could use this. Oh, yeah, we're moving here. We're doing that. Just simply listing them sparks thoughts for people. But then I always like to send a follow-up email with introductions, with full descriptions so that when they have a project 3 months from now, they can go into their Outlook and like, moving.
Yeah. I
And
know
then
some.
pop, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Or Cassie. Oh yeah, that's my moving contact. Perfect. So it's both. I wouldn't even say that they're separate meetings. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But with my clients, specifically potential clients, I also have a full needs analysis, which I go through. It's a deep dive into the current status of the business, where they would like to see the business in the future. And based on the results from that, I determine whether or not it's appropriate to provide a proposal. And I actually provide one about less than half the time because I I'm very selective in who I work with, and I need to be able to be impactful.
Right. And are you usually with other companies, are you usually meeting with their BD person or who are you meeting with from?
With potential clients, I'm normally meeting with CEOs and owners
Yeah.
and VPs of sales. That's where I live.
Yeah.
Anyone that sometimes it's a marketing person that someone told them, here, you do BD now, and they're in full panic.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Uh-huh.
what do you mean I do BD? That's not that's not why I was
Yes.
hired.
Those are the lunches where you're
Yes.
educating.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
those are the lunches where I'm
Yeah.
like, help me help you.
Yeah.
I know you hate it.
Right.
I love it. Somewhere therein lies a
Yeah.
match. Um,
That's a
but
potential new client for you. Just
yes.
circle back
Oh,
around.
for sure. For sure. But when I'm meeting with those that can provide value to my clients, it can be a business development person. It can be project manager, it can be an architect, brokers, owners
Yes.
reps. I
Yes.
mean, just the list goes on. And it
Definitely. I think it just depends on the company.
depends on the company, depends on the project.
Mm-hmm.
Again, who's the decision maker
Yep.
and whether or not you're sitting down with the decision maker or not. That person probably knows who the decision maker is
Exactly.
and they can help you, right? They are the gatekeeper.
Yep.
And so I think that's an important thing to note is oftentimes when a business development professional bypasses business development and tries to go straight, do you ever feel like there's a disrespect?
Mm-hmm.
You do. Okay. I wondered that. Um, because I've thought that before. I'm like, huh, I'm really good friends with them. Why wouldn't they come to me? You know?
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So same question
Yeah.
to you. Back to, well, I guess the question prior. What are your goals in meeting with individuals? And I know it depends on the meeting,
It
but
it does depend on the meeting. It probably starts with needs. What are your needs?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I would say more often than not, at this point, it turns into me educating the person about the services that we offer. Most of the time you come into a meeting and you see moving, and that's the first thing you see, and it's moving, and it's like, oh, so you move people? And I say, yes, we move people, we move families, we move businesses, we do a lot of that. But here are the other services that we offer. And usually in educating people about the things that we do, whether it be warehousing, whether it be e-commerce, whether it be freight forwarding, there is something that if it doesn't spark something that they need, it turns into a conversation about supply chain, about logistics, where I can educate it. For so many years, I would say just even maybe 2018, 2019, supply chain logistics, it wasn't sexy,
mm-hmm.
right? It wasn't something that people wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. COVID changed that. I mean, overnight it was, hey, I can't get my Amazon stuff in forget 2 days. Now it's like, why isn't it here overnight?
Mm-hmm.
But Target doesn't have this, and hospitals don't have this, and
And audiovisual doesn't have anything with chips in it for a
Yes.
right,
year.
exactly.
That,
Yes.
I mean,
Uh,
it changed the way CCS did business.
yeah, and everybody said, why? What happened here? And
Mm-hmm.
it really showed that, hey, when the trucks stop, when the boats stop, when the trains stop, the steps it takes, and then once it stops, the time it takes to catch up, that flywheel, it takes a long time to get spinning.
Mm-hmm.
And that's changed people's mindsets. I talked to a big logistics person that worked for a big carrier, big company, and they said, I was never brought into those meetings with my customer. I was the director of supply chain, and I was the last guy to find out about stuff. I'm getting on the front end now.
Mm-hmm.
I am the sexy one now.
Mm-hmm.
I am the
Mm-hmm.
one that needs to be in these meetings to talk about when we can get our product or
Yeah.
or any of that. So that has changed a lot of my networking. Is really turning into education and being a partner. And that's been huge for the success of Dirks
Mm-hmm.
is customers that we may have moved their office, and then they said, oh, I didn't realize you do that. Can you help me with this? COVID is a great example with some of the customers that we had moved, whether it be a lab or an office. Well, we did a little pivot and went our pick, pack, and ship operation on logistics, which was in the past packing e-commerce orders or building orders for customers. It turned into full-fledged kitting COVID kits. We took all the bulk supplies, put those together, and did COVID kits. Well,
Oh,
between 2020 and 2021, we did almost 2.5 million COVID kits
Wow.
for
that
4 or 5 different companies that we did, all the way from San Diego to
that's
Texas,
amazing.
where it just changed things,
Mm-hmm.
and it really was about pivoting. It was about doing something different. But it started with the conversation with the customer that we had moved. How else can we help you?
Mm-hmm.
And kudos to Rick. He's great at that. He said he sees a need and he says, "Hey, we offer that as well. How can we be a partner? How can we help you through COVID or rough time or any of that?" It's been huge.
So that sparked a thought for me. During COVID, did you find that you were moving the same companies or changing their layout, or now they're
Yes.
going
Hmm.
from this building to this
Yeah.
building without them ever being in the building? Did you find that?
100%.
That's
Not
great.
Hmm.
So,
not to name names, but one company came to us right, in what it be, May, June of 2020, when I guess the whole idea of work from home, it was more temporary.
hmm
So they came to us and said, okay, we need you to spread all the desks out. So we're going to eliminate 100 seats. We need you to spread everything out. So we
For the
did.
6 feet.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So we
Okay.
did that. And 3 months later, they said, you know, we're going to take out a few more desks and have even more feet spread, just to be uber safe, I
Mm-hmm.
guess you could
Mm-hmm.
say. Then it was, okay, we can push those back together because we got to get more people in here. And then it was, okay, we went from 2 monitors to 1 monitor, but the changes that everybody went through and the different things that happened throughout that
Wow.
was interesting. And with one company, we even took, they didn't want their employees to come back into the office, so we went, packed everything, and delivered it to their homes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Really?
from the chair that they
Oh
used
my
Yeah.
to the
goodness.
contents of
Huh.
their desk to the monitors or the keyboard or whatever it may be that they had.
Wow.
And it,
That's nice.
yeah, it was very nice that a company
Yeah.
would think about that for their employees as
Yeah.
well.
Wow. I like that.
Yeah. I do
I mean,
too.
I don't like that situation, but
Yeah.
I like that perspective
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
because,
I like that as a mover,
yeah, well, I
actually.
bet.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Um, so are there any other items that you want to touch on as far as business development, or if there's any viewers out there that are watching that would be a perfect person for you to meet with? What does that person look like? What's
That
their
person
role?
looks like. You know, what we're seeing a lot now with supply chain, is the model went from, just in time was really the model in supply chain. So, whether it be a Target or a Walgreens, they wanted that item just in time. I don't want it sitting on shelves. I don't want it
Hmm.
sitting in back stock. It's just in time. Well, that model has flipped where it's now just in case.
Oh, yeah, I
So
totally
from
agree.
just in time to just
Hmm.
in case, and that's created in the, what we call the third party logistics 3PL world, is, we need that the backstock in the store isn't big enough. They need a partner that can store the goods, that can keep that stuff, or a customer that needs furniture or,
AV.
AV that brings that stuff in and wants that, but you don't know when you're going to get it, so they have to order it and it's some backstock. So,
Yeah.
we're seeing a lot of that. So it's the customers that need that, let's call it backstock, um, need that extra support. We offer something that most don't, where we can receive the goods, store the goods, and then deliver them locally, whenever you need them. Whether it be in a cargo van or a straight truck or a full semi truck. But that's really something that's differentiated us, is the local delivery, even to the end user's home.
Hmm.
um that's the real huge differentiator for us.
Yeah.
So I would say, the on the logistics side, it's a lot of that service. um Commercial moving is, we move offices, businesses. We do a lot with hospitality, so a new hotel being designed or renovated, we will hold those goods and then deliver them out and even install them in a hotel as well. So it's a real wide gamut of consumers that we do. And then, of course, our bread and butter is household goods moving, is moving families, move them locally within Arizona, but move them all the way to across the country to across the world. We do international
Nice. Yeah.
moves, moves to other states, all of that as well.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
the feedback that I've received from um, people that I've introduced you to is that Dirks has exceptional customer service. So just wanted to make sure
It's
I
huge.
noted that.
They absolutely do. And
Great.
I
I
know
love to hear that.
personally
I love to hear that. Moving is stressful, as you
it is
are,
very
you know
stressful.
that well. And the goal of Dirks, is really to make that as easy as possible.
Yes.
Because, as you know, it's moving sucks. That's
It
one of
it
those
Everyone
things to
is
dreads
say.
it.
it's hideous.
Exactly. Nobody likes doing it.
Yeah.
So how can we make this process as easy as possible?
Yeah.
We talk a lot about empathy with all our employees, because at the end of the day, somebody's walking into your home. You've never met them before in your life.
Hmm.
They're packing everything up in your house, putting it on a truck, and driving it away. And
Yep.
just the thought of that, the concept of that is it's pretty crazy when you think
Hmm.
about it. So really getting that across to all levels of employees of, hey, this is a stressful thing that our customers are going through. We have to have empathy. Some people have never done this before. How can we educate them and make this, again, at the end of the day, as easy as possible?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I feel like I could be a huge lead source for you only because we own a truck. And so anytime any of our friends are
Yes,
moving,
yes.
they're like, "Hey, we need your truck.
Yeah, yeah.
Are
How
you
much
free to
pizza have
help it?"
you eaten?
The
Anytime,
pizza.
anytime even
Pizza is
someone
the
asks me to
payment.
help them move, I'm like, absolutely not. You need to
Pizza's the
call
payment.
someone.
Pizza. I mean,
I know
okay.
someone for you.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
I
Yeah,
love
no.
pizza,
yeah.
and
It's
Paul loves helping, but
70,
this can be easier.
I swear, 75% of the pizza orders on a Saturday for lunch are people moving.
Moving, trying to pay
I
their buddies.
believe it.
Yes, that's hilarious
Yeah.
you said pizza because I was about to
I
say it.
just tell people, I'm like, once you've hired movers,
You'll
you will
never go back.
never go back. Just do
That's
it.
that's our the best referral source
Yes.
is somebody who's moved professionally and
Yes.
they do it again. And I'll to go back to that pizza thing is for anybody that is moving that thinks about buying lunch or dinner for their moving team. Pizza's not something that the movers want to eat every day,
Mhm.
especially in the summer when it's warm out.
Oh,
Oh,
I worked on the trucks. I spent a summer, doing moves, and man, you get sick of pizza real
because everyone
fast.
buys pizza.
okay.
Everyone buys pizza.
So
It's
what's
Yeah.
the go-to
hot.
if you had a
A
choice?
sandwich.
A
Like
sandwich.
Sandwich
yeah,
with like a lemonade or like an ice cold
exactly. A
water.
Gatorade is
Okay.
Yeah,
great.
replace those electrolytes.
Yeah,
That's good to
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, definitely suggest that for everybody.
Okay. So before we close this out, we always like to ask our guests 1 to 3 interesting facts
One
about
to
them.
three.
So,
Okay. I'll start with one. I came from everybody asked me what I wanted to do with my career and the entrepreneur side was just always there. And I think both sides of the family, I've one side of the family that was in the moving business that started a moving company and then, generations has grown that and grown that. The other side of my family, my mom's side of the family that's not in the moving business, interesting thing is she grew up here in Mesa. My great grandparents started a food brand that turned into Rosarita. So
Oh,
Rosarita beans.
really?
what?
That is my family's first foray into entrepreneurship, I guess you could
Wow.
say. The on the can on the can of beans, that's my great grandmother that is on the can of beans. So
No. I
yeah.
love me some
I got
Rosarita
goosebumps. I
beans.
got goosebumps. We buy those all the time.
Yeah, it's the
Paul's
Yes.
best.
allergic
It
to
is the
beans, but
okay,
our
all
kids
right.
are bean
It's
burrito
Oh
without a
kids.
my
doubt the best brand.
gosh.
Yes.
But yeah,
Oh my
that so
gosh.
that
It
company,
is. It is.
yeah,
It
that
Oh
is.
my
that company was
gosh.
started by my great grandparents here in
That is
Mesa,
amazing.
of all
That
things.
I seeing
Um,
that I didn't
yeah,
know.
the evolution of that. I wish they still owned it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
I'm
yeah,
calling my mother after to
yeah,
tell her
that's
because we're
great.
big
That
That's
is,
great.
Rosarita
Yeah,
fans.
yeah.
oh, me too.
That's huge. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. So I guess you could say that entrepreneurship, that really has stuck with me, and although it's a family company and going through multiple generations, but it's okay. What's the next step? How can we
Hmm.
push this? How can we keep growing that? Is huge for me.
Awesome.
Wow.
Yeah,
I know another interesting fact about you.
you do.
I do that you used to live in Oro Valley, which I
I
did as
did.
well, but
I
I think
did.
we lived there at different times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but very close. We purchased a competitor in what would that be, 2017. So as a die-hard Sun Devil, I got to move down to Tucson for about 2 years. And again, one of our biggest customers in Tucson is the university.
Hmm.
So I can say this now, reluctantly put on my blue and red and
Bear
supported
down,
it. But
baby.
yeah,
Yeah.
one of the first weeks we went, funny story, one of the first weeks we went down there, that I was down there full time, I went to a University of Arizona networking event. And I jumped in my wife's car that day and I park right out front and I get out of my car to grab my bag out of the trunk and I've ASU plates on the car.
How
So I
dare
immediately
you?
got into my car, moved to the back of the lot,
Uh-huh.
backed in,
So no
and
one
I
could
so
see you. That's
nobody
Yeah.
knew.
smart.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah,
That could
smart.
have been
yeah, that
very
was
dangerous for you.
Yeah.
it's a big deal. It
I've
is
been
it is a
physically
really big deal.
assaulted wearing an ASU shirt in
I'm
Tucson. That's
Yeah,
not a
I
lie.
bet.
it is not. It's
It's with
I
my mother.
oh
yeah,
my.
That's real.
Yeah.
yeah. It's one of those rivalries that I wish more people kind of knew about nationwide.
Yeah.
But it's real.
Oh, I grew up in Tucson, went to
Yeah.
high school in Tucson,
Yeah.
and then decided to go to ASU.
Yes,
So I'm the
I
ultimate
you
trader.
And we move both
you
football
are.
teams. We have we move their equipment for away games,
Oh,
and
nice.
we have kind of dueling trucks, I guess you could
Oh,
say.
yeah.
One wrapped with University of Arizona, one with ASU.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
instead of house
Will
divided, it's
versus Sparky,
yeah,
I
it's
guess.
company divided,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Any other interesting facts you want to hit us with?
I,
I
my
mean, I don't know what could really
Those
follow
are
the
like,
first
I
one.
mean,
that's
No
those are
offense.
some, I don't know if you
started
can
with
even
bang.
beat those
No,
facts.
no,
Yeah.
you can't.
That's great.
That's pretty amazing.
Well, then I have a
Thank you.
question for you, Crystal.
Ooh,
Are you going to give us an Italian lesson before we leave?
I will give you a little Italian lesson.
Okay.
Actually, Alex and I are going to Italy next
When?
month.
No,
Nice.
when? Like
Yes.
July next month?
The
Oh my
first 2
gosh.
weeks of July. We're going.
Oh my
Super
gosh.
excited.
That's so
So I
fun.
really
You've
need
been
to
practicing your.
practice.
She's been practicing for months.
Oh, okay.
Oh, una domanda.
I have a demand.
It
No?
actually is, I have a question,
Oh, okay.
but you were close.
Well, I
Yeah.
speak Spanglish fluently.
Yes. Do you have a Spanish phrase today?
What was yours? I have a question.
Yeah.
Yo tengo una pregunta.
Ooh.
I think that's I have a question. Someone correct me if it's
I
not.
have some pasta. That's what it sounded like.
It did? Oh, well, both are great
Yeah. Do you
phrases.
speak another language?
No, I struggle with English as it is, so I stick with that.
Awesome.
We're
Well,
all trying.
thank you for joining
Yes,
us
thank you for
today.
having
It
me.
was
Appreciate it.
awesome.
Yeah, we loved
Loved
having you
learning
on.
about you and Dirks, and
Thank you.
your
Appreciate
company
it.
is fabulous.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm very, very excited and blessed to work with you and all of my clients, really.
Great.
So
Yeah.
thank you so
Thank you
much
again
for
for
coming
having me.
on.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Jake, thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Jake.
Jake.
All
And
right.
ciao, everyone.